and I'm here with another video, and today I'm going to talk about the series that I want to finish in 2020. So I made a decision towards it was like the last quarter of 2019 that I really wanted to make a point of finishing series on my shelves. I think I talked about this in a video. I think it might have been my goals video, because I have this issue right now of not wanting to start series because I'm really wanting to read finished series so I don't have to get confused or reread unless I want to reread. But I own a ton of finished series. My TBR shelf is right there. I own a ton of finished series, so I'm not starting other series because whatever. I just yeah, it's weird. Okay, so I actually have my book journal with me. These are not all the series that I plan on reading or anything in 2020. There will probably be more. And the majority of these, with one exception, are actually already on my shelf. So there's one that's not on my shelf, but I do want to read it. There's also series that I want to reread this year, but I'm not going to talk about those in here. So yeah, so it's not a very pretty little spread here, but first, and these are in no particular order, they were just the order I thought of them in, is the Paradox Trilogy by Rachel Bach. Is that what you go by for this series? I think she's also known as Rachel Aaron. I've actually read the first two books in the series before. The first one is Fortune's Pawn, but I read them a while ago and I don't remember enough because I remember being confused. Not confused where it was bad, but whatever. It's also sci-fi, which is not my typical genre. So I want to reread them before I read the third one. So I plan on reading all three of them this year. Next is the Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard series by Rick Riordan. It is complete. I own all three books. I have a personal philosophy about Rick Riordan where I only read his books his series when all the books are complete, because he's an evil human being and he lives for the cliffhanger, and I'm too smart for that. Same with Cassandra Clare. So I own all three of these, and yeah, I'll read them. Next is Rhyuria Revelations by Michael J. Sullivan. I read the first two books, the first bind up. The bind up is Theft of Swords. I don't feel the need to reread those. If I get into the third book, the second bind up, and I feel confused, I might go back, but I probably won't. I own the second bind up, and then I'll buy the third one, but I do want to finish the series. It's 6 books, 3 bind ups. It's adult fantasy. From what I remember, I would say it was really approachable, easy to understand, and pretty funny. Great relationships between the main two protagonists. They're two friends. They have great chemistry. I love it. Next is The Dark Artificer by Cassandra Clare, now that the third book is out, and I actually own them. My mom got them for me for my birthday. I haven't put these on my TBR shelf yet, or for Christmas. And I'm gonna buy the first one in the paperback, even though I did hardcover. Now that this series is complete, I will read this as well. Next is Alienated by Melissa Landers, and I can't decide if I'm going to reread the first two books before I read the third one. I think I already reread the first book when the second book came out, and it's YA. It's really, it's corny YA with aliens. I like it. It reminds me of the TV show that was on the CW, Star-Crossed, in tone and everything. It's just, I'm not saying it's groundbreaking literature, but I don't need groundbreaking literature in my life, but I loved the first two books. So I definitely want to finish this, and I own it. So I haven't decided if I'm going to reread the first two. They're really short, so I don't think it'd be a problem if I did. We'll see. Next, actually, another Melissa Landers is her Starflight Duology. These are sci-fi. It's 2 books. They're pretty short, and I own both of them, and I just haven't read them for some reason. Yeah. Next is The Raven Boys. I started this in 2019. I read the first 2 books, so I would like to read these 3rd and 4th books. I might read Call Down the Hawk this year. I don't know. We'll see. But I do want to finish the series, one, because I want to finish it, but I would like to finish it while the first 2 books are still relatively fresh in my mind, so I don't have to reread them. Next is the Poison Study series by Maria V. Snyder. So this series is kind of weird. So what I am calling the Poison Study series is 6 books. So really the first 3, it's like the Poison Study trilogy, and then there's like an additional trilogy. There's also a trilogy in the middle. I'm not reading the trilogy in the middle. I was thinking about it. I think I started to read one of the books and I wasn't liking it. So I'm just gonna skip it, and if things are spoiled for me, I don't care. But I had actually wanted to reread the first 3 books in this series anyways, and my library has them. Actually, I think they're on Audible Escape too, as audio. So I'm gonna do that, and then I will read the 4th, 5th, and 6th, like the continuing trilogy. So that's my plan. Next is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I've been putting this off because I was so all over the place with book 1 that I'm like so apprehensive, and I really didn't like Throne of Glass. But I bought the box set of this because like 150 pages into ACOTAR, I was like in love. So I made decisions. So I'm going to, this one honestly, like, I mean any of them, I guess if I don't like them, I'm more than willing to stop. But this is the one that I think is most likely to not actually get finished and just get unhauled. But I am going to try. Also, if you saw my quarterly TBR, I have to read it for my quarterly TBR, at least the 2nd book. Next is 13 Little Blue Envelopes by Maureen Johnson. So I've read 13 Little Blue Envelopes, like, oh my gosh, like my sophomore or junior year of college, like pre-booktube, I think. Before I was making videos and stuff, like YouTube was barely a thing and all of that. But I loved Maureen Johnson. And then a sequel came out a few years ago, and I got it. I think I got it for Christmas. But I need to reread the first one. I feel like I need to reread the first one. But I am a little worried because it's like, it's so long ago. Like, am I gonna like it? Like, what? I don't know. So I'm going to read it and finish it. And then the last one is one that's not on my shelf, but I really want to read. And that is Prudence by Gail Carriger. So the 4th and final book in the series, it either came out in 2019 or it's coming out in 2020. So I'm comfortable with reading this series. And I love Gail Carriger, so I really want to read more of her books. So that is my plan. That's what I'm reading. Those are the series that I plan on finishing, at least as of right now in 2020. I don't really put romance series on here because I think of that as something different. But I do have romance series that I would like to continue and read. Plus there are series that are like coming out that I'm actively reading and would like to read. Also, I read a bunch of books last year that are first books in series, and I feel like they're duologies, but I don't know if they are. So if they are, then yes, I plan on finishing those in 2020. Like, what are you called? Are you over here somewhere? The Serpent and Dove, that kind of stuff. Continuing on with like Jennifer L. Armentrout series, those things. Those are like givens. So those are the series that I plan on reading and continuing. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Bye.